Spring is here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked up by the Lions, coming back right side 25, picks up a block at the 30, to the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right, Stafford throws deep, got a man out there, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions, Marvin Jones.
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers. We are back here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, talking Detroit Lions. Week 1 is in the books. We are going to have tons of reaction, as you can imagine. Logan Lamorandier is going to join us for the back half of the show. Me and Grifka are going to do what we do here on the show, which, of course, you guys know, despite the outcome, I've got some positive things to mention. Grifka may have some negative things to mention. We may play them up, as we often do here on the show, for comedic value, but lots to talk about this football game. And we'll have some fun off the top here, too. So, Grifsky, you're in the building. How are you today?
I would like to do my standard, but honestly, I'm still a little heartbroken, still a little reeling from that game on Sunday. So, you can, sorry guys, I'm not doing good.
Absolutely, man. I don't think anybody is. But like I say, we're gonna get to that. There's a Grifka bell off the top. But before we get Logan in here, Grifka, let's talk about some non-game type items. Like, did you see me go off on Twitter about the Smurf uniforms? Can we get rid of the aqua blue pants with the aqua blue jersey? Like, it just makes us look like such wimps, and it's just it's embarrassing. It really is. I mean, I don't understand why we continue to go to this look. And right as I blew up on it, my buddy Wagner, good buddy, all the way back from high school, he only chimes in from time to time, sends me a text, "Oh, I'm loving these jerseys. These are sweet. Let's go." I'm like, are you kidding me? Get the hell out of here with that. Like, are these brutal, or do you love them?
Well, I like the jersey, but I hate the matchup with those pants, like you said. So I did notice that, but I'm always under the impression that, your uniforms, they are what they are. You're not going to play any better or worse. I mean, I don't think they look good. They're not very fashionable. I don't want to see them on a Paris runway or anything like that. But, I mean, I do like the jerseys. But you're right. I agree with you. I wish they would not match them up with those pants. I wish they would go with the silver, or even just some white or something like that.
No, not white. We need just the silver. We're Honolulu blue and silver, everybody. Not Honolulu blue on a Honolulu blue with a side of Honolulu blue. Like, it's just ridiculous on so many levels. Gosh, just keep it consistent. Like I say, there's something about being in a tougher looking uniform, and the Pittsburgh Steelers rolling in the black and the gold, it's just like they're not going to come out in yellow on yellow with a side of extra yellow on the helmet. They just don't do that because it's just ridiculous. So that pissed me off right off the get-go. Grifka, is it just me, or does every ref that comes in to ref a Lions game, or even on the road against the Lions, does it always feel like it's their first game of all time? Like, we call them up from high school football. They're always like taking forever. I know in this football game, there was times they held up the spot. They didn't know, certain simple elements. Matt Stafford's looking at them, trying to get a playoff. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, is it just me, or does this seem to happen way more than it should with our Lions?
I would, you know me, I'm a conspiracy theory guy when it comes to the NFL on certain things. And once again, Derek, I have to agree with you that, Yeah, it seems like we always get the guys that are like standing outside, like reffing a Pee Wee game, Sunday morning down there, and they're like, all of a sudden, hey, we need refs. You guys over there, come on, you guys know rules, right? And they get stuck in the game. So I agree with you. There's points I'm just like, what are these guys doing? What's happening here? Where'd they get these guys? So, yep, I hear you.
Grifka, why do you think they might send the new rookie ref to a Lions game? I mean, what would your conspiracy theory be there with that? Is that something the NFL might cook up for them?
Yeah, because that's not going to happen, when, obviously not one of the nationally televised games, like the 4 o'clock game, the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. If certain teams like, Green Bay or, the Patriots, the Cowboys, those teams, they're always going to get the creme de la creme. They're not going to get the junky referees, So I'm always a firm believer we'd still have the replacement referees if it wasn't for the Fail Mary on Monday Night Football in Seattle where, Mike McCarthy, now the coach of the Cowboys, had to cry, eating his, cheese and bratwurst because, Golden Tate caught a touchdown and he was all sad about it.
Grifka, if Mike McCarthy was to cry into something, what would that maybe be?
Oh, he's going to have some bratwurst and some cheese is what he's going to have. That guy, he ain't crying into nothing else. Even in Dallas, he could probably go, find some nice Tex-Mex or something like that. But nope, he's still the bratwurst and cheese guy.
Grifka, I'm leaving the music up and I'm asking you, yet you're continuing to miss your gimmick lines. You know it's he cries in the chicken wings. We've said it a million times.
The chicken wings.
You can't go to other foods. It's he cries in his chicken wings. We've been over this a million times. And I love the Grifka long-winded answer, but when I asked you why, you could have just said, because the NFL hates the Lions. That would have been good, but you didn't.
Oh, okay.
You gave the people a 10-minute answer, and you missed your gimmick line, so I had to help you out there. But we'll kill the music. Couple other things off the top here, Grifka. What'd you think of the no fans? I mean, I'll give my opinion here in a minute. I saw Fox try to place fans in the stadium to start the game. It looked like a full crowd. Sometimes when they went to a wide shot, there were fans everywhere. They went to a Madden cutaway that said dagger time late in the game up in the upper deck, I think right above where our section is where we sit. Like, what'd you think of all this? Did it make a difference? Do you think it impacted the game? I mean, give me a little something before we get to this football game.
Like game experience watching it at home, I know they pumped in that fake sound, and when there was like a good play for the home team, it sounded like they ramped it up a little bit. I don't think even if something kind of went wrong for the home team, it's not like they, toned it down or that, there wasn't like a low boo or anything like that. So I guess, watching it from home, I guess I really didn't notice until they there was a certain play where you saw just the seat covers. And then once again, you realized it. I don't know how it affected the team or anything like that. I don't think so. I don't think they were worried about having fans in the stands. I think there were parts if the crowd was ramped up and amped up, some things could have went different, but game experience watching it at home, no difference to me.
So Grifka, in summary, as far as it impacted the game, you're not quite. Yeah,
I'm not quite for sure how it affected our beloved Detroit Lions.
I thought you might be uncertain about that one, but in my opinion, like I was so happy to have football. I was so happy to have fantasy football. I didn't think it made a difference. I mean, I'm sure if the players on the field, the people in the stadium, it felt like a quiet walk through practice, or just they could definitely tell the difference, I'm sure. But this is no excuses, man. This is the situation. Go out, create your own energy, get all ramped up on the sideline, whatever you got to do, and go out and do what you have to do. So I thought it was great just to have football back. I don't think that it really impacted, many of the teams, more so maybe the teams that won. But, it definitely was different. I didn't like some of the gimmicks. I mean, when they showed the fans, to be honest, when they morphed them in there, I actually thought it looked pretty decent. The couple times they did it, it was kind of, they should have either had that all game or like, here's my thing too on the NFL. Here's my mini rant. Like, are we this cheap, NFL, that we can only really put cutouts of the people that pay you money? We can't just load up the most of the lower deck with cutouts. I'm sure that's not going to break the budget, Roger Goodell. But it just seems like let's put the 18 cutouts in each end zone that people shelled out $500 for a season or whatever ridiculous price tag those things had. It's like, I think those actually look decent, especially when shot from far away, but not when you put 10 out there. I mean, I said just paper it with like celebrities and random former players and put things that will make people laugh. Put them all over the stadium. Put like 20,000 of those suckers in there. But oh no, they gotta. If you didn't pay, we're only gonna put 16 in the far end zone. We'll put 3 on the far sideline and 10 on the back end zone. That's all we're doing because these cutouts are really expensive. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's like one of those things with the cutouts. It's like, I know people are like, hey man, I got a cutout in the game, but you only really see the end zone like that, for what, an extra point or like really an extra point because of the distance. A field goal, depending on it's farther away. So it's like, hey, that's me, section 112, row 5, C32. That's my cardboard cutout there. Okay, man. Well, that's cool and all, I guess. It's like you don't see it the whole game. It's not like watching, the Sport We Shall Not Speak where they put them up right behind, home plate, where you get to see it pretty much 90% of the time.
Grifka always trying to work in the Sport We Shall Not Speak of, but so it was good for a 1-second Twitter post from some of these people, and I'm glad some of the cool people on Twitter that talk Lions all day decided to get one, and the Lions took a picture and they got to see it, but it's just ridiculous to me. There is not 1 ounce of my body that would want to pay $50, $150, $500, whatever the ridiculous price was. Like nothing in my body wants me to pay a penny to have a cutout of me or of you, of anyone that's a Lions fan, in my opinion, in the stands. I mean, the good part is I guess it went to charity. That's all respectable. People basically just want to give to charity, but like you said, not only do you not see it, like it just seems like a ridiculous premise. I mean, if anything, they should have said, hey, fans, I know we didn't let you in. Like the least we can do is give you a $3 cutout for free and put that up in your seat where you normally be. I mean, gosh, this thing, Grifka, the Ford Field is like 70,000, let's call it 67,000, whatever it is. Let's say each one of those cutouts is $2. Like you're telling me they can't throw $100K at this and load that stadium up and put every fan that should be there in a cutout and call it a day? I mean, $100,000 is the I mean, that's pocket change for these people at Ford Field, these executives. I mean, Rod Wood carries that around in his wallet. I mean, like you can't do this. You got to like say, we'll put you in there, but how about $300 for the whole season? We'll put you in. We'll put you next to Barry Sanders for $800. It's like, oh, you're gonna put me next to Barry Sanders cutout? Wow, tremendous. Is Barry's cutout gonna sign my cutouts jersey, or what's gonna happen there? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, cutouts jersey. You get your cutout back with the jersey sign. It's done by like some ball boy or something like that.
I can't wait for my cutout to talk to Barry's cutout all game long. That's going to be an experience of a lifetime. Thank you, Lions. Wow, you guys are just the greatest organization of all time.
It's like, what are we gonna do? Man, it's like Barry's cutout wouldn't shut up the whole game. All he did was talk about his time at Oak State. What kind of crap is that? I was looking for stories when he played on the Lions, and he wouldn't shut up about Oklahoma State. I'm like, gosh, Barry's cutout, be quiet.
Barry's cutout, just like Barry. He'd be there for the camera shot, in the first quarter, and then his cutout would be cut out for the rest of the game. I guarantee it. Heading to either the buffet or the nearest plane or vehicle to get him out of there.
Oh, I'm sure you'd probably want to cut out next to like Lomas Brown's cutout, so that way you'd have the game in your head, and he'd be sitting there right next to you.
Hey, Grifka, we got to get to some other items, but I want to do this. I meant to do this a bunch of other shows ago. I've come around a little bit on Lomas Brown. He's not only looking slim and trim, but he seems to be getting better on some of these shows, and I like some of the takes that he's had. So, he's improving. I see improvement there, and he's obviously a great Lion of all time. So nothing but respect there. And Grifka, here's a bombshell for the people before we get to this ball game and bring Logan on. Grifka, I know it's been fun for comedy as well as, just to get me all riled up on a Friday. But I've softened my stance a little bit on Calvin Johnson. I went and listened to his latest podcast. He didn't bury the Lions. This was from weeks or months ago, whatever it was. I meant to mention on the show. The guy took no pot shots. He didn't whine and complain. He just sort of did a normal interview with guess who, and then he went away. So I actually enjoyed that from the parts that I heard or read or whatever it was, and I feel like that was a step forward for Calvin Johnson, in my opinion, as long as he doesn't continue to cry over the $200,000 or $2 million, whatever it is, the Lions took from him, and they're still not on good terms. But I thought I'd just throw that out there. Lomas Brown, Calvin Johnson, I've softened my stance. There's a few other reporters I have not softened my stance on because of their questions or their coverage of this football team. But I just throw that out there, Grifka. I'm coming to terms with Lomas and with Calvin a little bit.
Okay, I'm sure they're happy to hear that. But
Absolutely. It was tough for me to do. I'm sure, at time to time I will still do the Calvin rant for people just to make them laugh as we try to do on the show. But yeah, we got all that going. One more thing here in the beginning. Grifka, what'd you think like last week, absolutely out of nowhere? We're queuing up for this game. We're excited that football's right around the corner. And the Lion just got devastated with hamstring. How does he say? Who says that? My hamstrings. Somebody says it that way, but the Lions just dropping like flies with hamstring injuries. And I mean, Kenny out, Okuda just all of a sudden gone, can't play in the game. I mean, Hal Vaitai has some injury where he not only couldn't practice, but didn't even have a chance to play in the football game. I mean, I was not only totally shocked, but it was one of those where I'm thinking, Kenny will probably go. Like I really didn't even know about Okuda that much. I mean, that was almost game day. It was like, hey, Jeff Okuda's not going to play. I'm like, he's not? Why? Lions seem to have bad luck, or that's really seemed to creep out of nowhere. And we'll talk about more injuries during the game as well. So that's a part of football, but man, it really really hurt the team, no doubt about it.
yeah, it definitely seemed like like you said, guys just walking off with hamstring. It's like, do you guys stretch out before you take the field or anything like that? Or guys might have to do some more lunges to strengthen those things up a little more or something like that. I don't get it myself, but it was pretty bad to see those guys walk off. Oh, hamstring. Oh, hamstring. Oh, hamstring. I mean, it's always better than a blown out knee or something like that. I understand, but yeah, it's just like, what are they doing in practice? Do they need better trainers? Better conditioners? I mean, is it running the hill or I don't know. It's just confusing.
What I hate about it is, again, it's always timing with the Lions. Like they didn't seem to have much, in regards to most of camp. It was like, little thing here or there. Hunter Bryant, has missed some practices, and Swift had his little disappearance. We weren't really sure, but not quite for sure. But like. Then all of a sudden, just days before game day, these weren't even like Monday, Tuesday. These were like, hey, Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, these guys were going down and having injuries. So that was really disconcerting as well. But the Lions, I mean, one thing I've learned about not only the Lions, I've had bad, history with injuries, timing, as well as some of their better players are usually always going down. But I absolutely love fantasy football, and to me, fantasy football is becoming more and more like you got to be a physician to do well, because half your battle every week is not only figuring out who's hurt, but like the severity of their injuries and managing injuries and replacing guys from injuries, trying to guess, if they're hurt, how long, is it worth getting rid of them? Should you hang on to them? Are they going to be okay? Like, it's just crazy. I mean, I'm starting to feel like the NFL, as much as it is a talent-based, execution type of league, it's starting to become a, who can manage injuries, who can tough it out the most, and who can avoid injuries to their top talent. Because if you can avoid injuries to your top, like, let's say 10 to 12 players for a majority of the year, I feel like those are the teams you're usually seeing in the playoffs. And the teams that are in the middle or at the bottom of the pack are these teams that just get beat up. Either the quarterback goes down, or a couple defensive studs, or a running back misses 6 games, and then they can't overcome it. So I really think that's something the Lions have to find a way to get around. Like you said, we've revamped weight training and all this different stuff, and it's still occurring more than I feel like with most teams. So I really hope we can get our handle on that, whether, that's something that Matt Pat can do, reforming, that part of the organization a bit more. He seems to put a lot of emphasis on it every time they ask him in a presser. He's always got some big, long answer, but it's really was crippling here week 1.
It did. It definitely put a different spin watching the cornerbacks that were out there after Coleman got hurt and Desmond Trufant got hurt. We were down to the guys that you were willing to cut to keep Jason Huntley. Yeah, I thought about that. I'm like, where would we be at if we cut those guys?
Grifka, don't get me upset on a Wednesday before we talk about this football game. You know what I want to do, Grifka, before we go to a break and get Logan in here? You know what I want to do?
What's that?
Grifka, this is all on the fly. This is all impromptu. How about a Caruso for the people before we head to a break? We haven't done one in a while.
Yeah, I would enjoy that.
All right, let's see if I can pull this off here. We got to get Frank Ribble in here at the beginning of a Caruso. One, because I think he put up the most points in the Detroit Koolaid Cast Fantasy League, which for the second year in a row is missing the Waffle Maker because he's an old, crotchety old man that won't do fantasy even for the fans. But so I'll do this one for you, Frank. This is a Caruso for you. I'm going to put you in it like I often do here at the beginning. Here we go, Grifka. Well, Frank, I guess you could say the Lions on Sunday were hamstrung. Grifka, I got a double right off the top of my head. Well, Frank, I guess you could say the Lions on Sunday needed to bear down.
I like your hamstrung one better.
Well, Frank, I guess you could say on Sunday the Lions blew a lead, and I'm not lying.
Your first one was the best one.
Grifka, don't critique my Carusos. You don't know what a good Caruso is. Leave the Carusos up to me. Everybody, we're going to take a quick break. As Grifka says, we got to pay those bills. And as Benny Blade says on the Believe in Lions show, we got to go to the pay window. We'll be back right after this.
Allstate wants to remind fans that mayhem is everywhere. Like when your fantasy league meets up at your house. Everything's great until the hot plate gets too hot for the tablecloth. Now your kitchen's up in smoke. And if you don't have the right home insurance coverage, the cost to fix this is anything but a fantasy. So switch to Allstate, save money, and get protected from mayhem like this. Not available in every state based on coverage selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Savings vary.
This episode is brought to you by Merrick Pet Care. For over 30 years, Merrick has crafted high-quality dog food. Since our founding in Hereford, Texas, all of Merrick's recipes have prioritized whole nutrition, with deboned meat, fish, or poultry as the #1 ingredient. That's why we say real is our recipe. Real ingredients and home-style flavors your pet loves. Look for new Merrick packaging with real ingredients shown on the bag and inside it. Find it online or in your local pet store.
What's going on, Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers? We are back from the break. Me and Grifka talked about some non-game type items off the top, and I ended that segment with some Carusos, which I know everybody out there loves. And this is something I think you guys are going to love as well, because as you know on the show, me and Grifka like to have some fun. I like to beat him up. The reason I beat him up is he's often the negative Eeyore of the show, the waffle maker. You know who he is. He brings up every little thing that went wrong for the Lions, and there were quite a few in the Chicago game, which I'm sure we'll hit on. And you guys know that I'm the guy, the originator of the Detroit Koolaid Cast. You know how it is.
Drink it in, man.
I serve it up for the people, the positivity. So what we're going to do today is you're going to get the Okrie positivity because there were some great things in this football game. You'll get the Grifka negativity because I'm sure he's going to bring up the 2 or 3 things that he noticed sitting in his lazy boy. And guess what? We got somebody right in the middle who's got a great eye and is probably going to agree with me most of the time, but he's also going to probably have some negative things to say after this football game. And that's Logan Lamarandier from Sports Illustrated. All Lions is in the house. Logan, what's going on, man?
Oh, still trying to recover from Sunday, but I'm getting better as each day passes.
We played 3 good quarters. No, we'll get to that here in a minute. But yeah, it was a tough one on Sunday, no doubt.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. It's just one of those deals, we've seen it happen a lot. So I'm hoping it doesn't happen again, but I can't say I'm super optimistic at this point. So maybe I'll be more negative than positive, but we'll see.
No. Don't give me the Grifka. This always happens. I saw it all on Twitter. Oh, that's so Lions. We're gonna get away from that today because I got a bunch of positives to talk about, and Grifka will do what he does. So you ready to jump into this? Let's have some fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Grifka, let me start here. Let me get us off to a good start here. You know how I'm going to do that, Grifka? You know how I'm going to do that?
I have a pretty good idea if you want me to announce it, but I'll let you take it.
All right. Grifka, I'm going to start off by talking about Adrian Peterson, the guy that you said was going to put up maybe 100 or 200 yards for the season. He went for 93 rushing, 21 receiving. I mean, he was running physical. He was doing jump cuts. I mean, I'm not putting my franchise on Adrian Peterson, but man, did he look sharp on Sunday. It was tremendous to see. Logan, what'd you think of the 35-year-old running back that had been here for 4 days and looked like the best running back I've seen in maybe the past 10, 12 years for the Lions, to be honest? I mean, he had some juice on Sunday.
Yeah, he did. And even at 35 years old, you wondered why Washington cut him. Without preseason games, we didn't really get a good look to see what type of player he was because, sometimes Father Time catches up real quick. But you look at the last 2 years, he's been in the league. He's been very productive. And I think on Sunday you saw just what you've seen the Adrian Peterson the last couple of years, where he is still plenty agile enough. Like you mentioned, the jump cuts. It still has some decent speed, not the blazing speed that he once had, but you could tell he's just a savvy veteran who knows how to play the position, and he found holes. He was patient when he needed to be. He knew when to lower his shoulder. I just felt like he got all the yards that were there for him, where we've so often seen from other backs in recent years where they're running into guys' backs or just not being patient enough or for whatever the reason may be. It's just, you can tell that Adrian Peterson, there's a reason he's going to be a Hall of Famer. And I think a lot of that has to do with his vision, and he still has that aspect. And even an average or to above average level of explosiveness to his game still, even being 35 years old, which is truly amazing.
No doubt, man. Guy chiseled out of granite. I was fired up. I did not expect this type of performance, but I told Grifka, going to be up in that 500-600 plus yard range, score some touchdowns. He did not find the end zone, but he did almost everything else we could have asked for on this game. Grifka, before you give your first negative or your first critique, I'm sure that's what you want to call it, let me just remind you that throughout this episode and on most shows of the Detroit Koolaid Cast, you do this to me.
It drives me freaking bonkers.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, first, Logan, I want to commend you on your tweet after the game. I love the tweet. I did not respond, but I loved it. How you said that had to be one of the most Lions, the way Detroit loses something like that, or the most Lions loss ever. I totally agreed with it. I'm like, yes. So I know Derek says the past has nothing to do with it, but I did. I love that tweet. Thank you very much for putting it out there. It just warmed my heart.
Well, I would say it's
be on the show.
I would say it's completely the past, but it has been 2 years of that now. And that's where my concern is. We've had this one into year 3 with Patricia. So I want to think things are different, but who knows?
Grifka, I got one more question before you ask him your question, and that's why you doing this to me right now.
What the hell are you doing?
I love using Grifka's own lines against him, but why you got to start there? Go ahead. Give your first critique, give your first negative, give your first Eeyore to Logan, and you guys can talk about it and agree with each other about it.
Sure.
Because I don't agree. Whatever it is.
Okay. Well, you leading in with Adrian Peterson is great because it just leads into my question. Yes, Adrian Peterson, he racked up the yards, but what I mentioned prior that I thought, Kerryon Johnson, he was going to be the first one on the field. If he plays well, they're going to keep feeding him the ball. He looked very, very pedestrian. Swift got some touches, but even when he was on there running the ball, he did have the rushing touchdown, but there were points where he looked a little pedestrian, and I realize he's a rookie, but for what we were expecting on the running game, how happy I was with Peterson, were you disappointed at all on Kerryon Johnson and DeAndre Swift, at least rushing the ball?
From a rushing standpoint, a little bit. Kerryon Johnson, yeah, I think I saw one play where I was like, I think he could have got more there. And then, outside of that, there wasn't anything too special that he did in the running game. And it might be a little bit from, Peterson having some better blocks in front of him, because there was definitely one play where he had a wide open hole led by, Kabinda, the fullback, just opening up any of the Lions running backs would have had a good run there. But as far as Swift goes, somehow it didn't feel like he led the team in snaps at running back, but he did. I think that was a lot to do for him being on passing downs. But from a pure running standpoint, yeah, it definitely looked like Adrian Peterson was the best back. And that is a little bit concerning considering both the backs that were behind him are second-round picks. But Swift dropping that pass at the end, like if he didn't have that, I would have been just fine with Swift's performance. And even with that drop, it's like he didn't have a drop all last year while at Georgia, only had 3 in his entire career. So that's out of character for him. It's just horrible timing. And, especially the first game as a rookie, I feel awful for him. But this is the NFL and you're paid to perform. And I think he still has, a pretty bright future ahead of him. I'm not going to say he's ever going to be a workhorse back because I don't think he's necessarily that type of player, but I do think he has a ton of nice qualities. So I just think going forward, you will see, some more flash plays out of both Kerryon and Swift. But if Peterson keeps running like the way he does, it's going to be hard to take him off the field.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I guess, like you said, Peterson, there seemed like a couple times he did get a little better blocks, but there were some, it seemed like he was getting those yards himself. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think the offensive line changed their mindset with Kerryon or DeAndre Swift in the backfield, but it seemed like a lot of times those guys were running into more of a wall than what Adrian Peterson, and I just don't know if that's Peterson's vision. Him's just years of experience, stuff like that. But I do agree with you on that. So,
Grifka, are you done depressing the people? Can I serve up a little more Detroit Kool-Aid for him?
Yeah, I know what your second one is too. So go ahead.
All right. Well, first of all, I need to tell you this.
Know your role and shut your mouth because the people's champ is ready to talk.
Grifka, listen up here, Waffle Maker. So I'm going to do what you often do here on the show, and that's piggyback off of your topic before I get to 2 topics that I'm going to give Logan. First of all, if you go back and watch the tape and you lazy boy and quit looking at it with your negative sunglasses on, whenever DeAndre Swift was in the game running routes, whether he got the football or not, this kid is not only crispy, silky, he was cutting fools up. He did not get the football deep in the red zone, which would have been a touchdown early in the football game. You're going to critique our running backs? Did you see a walk-in touchdown from about the 3-4 yard line by DeAndre Swift? Because I haven't seen that in about a decade, it feels like, where he just waltzed on in, found the seam, got in there nice and easy. You got to love seeing that. And I thought overall the run game was much improved. So for you to nitpick it, I mean, that's not surprising whatsoever. But let me go to this. I'm going to give you a double dip now that I've talked about Swift. Logan, Grifka knows. I'm going here number 2. I got to do it. TJ Hawkinson. This guy was, I just love the way they were dialing him up. There was one play where he came in motion and he just like straight up went from motion to a straight up crossing route, left the linebacker in the dust, probably picked up 18 or whatever he got on that play. Just tremendous design by Darrell Bevel. I mean, great catch in the end zone. They were using him, and then they just went away from this guy. Like, I feel like he could have been a much bigger force all day long. 56 receiving yards, a touchdown. Grifka's favorite player in football, the number 8 overall pick, TJ Hawkinson, had a day. And then what about the halftime aggressiveness? Every week I got to come on this show and hear Grifka second guess Matt Patricia and, oh, why don't we go for it? Why don't we do this, that, and the other? Lions got the football back right down the field, touchdown, come out the half, get another touchdown, and then get a stop and go get a field goal. Talk to me about Hawkinson and the Lions putting it on him there from about the late second quarter to mid-third quarter.
Yeah, it's encouraging. Yeah, it is. No, Hawkinson was, and all reports were he was having a great camp, and you saw him make a contested catch where he kind of boxed out the defender in the end zone. And that's what I think he really needed to do last year that he struggled with, was making those difficult catches that were in traffic, where that's what tight ends, that's their job. They might not always be open, but you can throw the ball in the spot and they know how to keep that defender on their back and catch the ball. And so he just looks, like the playmaker we all envisioned him to be when he was drafted 8th overall. You can tell he's super athletic, and he does look a little stronger this year. I know we mentioned that in one of our previous podcasts I did with you guys that, you can't always take all these off-season workouts. Just because there's a video up doesn't mean some guy is going to be great during the season. But I do think with Hockenson, especially considering that year 1 to year 2 jump that you see so many of these great tight ends take, and year 3 even better typically. But I think Hockenson, he needs to be a focal point in this offense, because he is one of the bigger mismatches on the team, especially when it comes to separation as well. When he's matched up against the linebacker, he's tough to keep up with, and he has great agility, really great agility for how big he is. So I'm really looking forward to Hockenson this season. And yeah, I think he only had like 56 yards on 5 catches, but if you average that out over 16 games, that's right around 900 yards. So that's pretty solid. So I'll take more of that, and just need a little bit more consistency this year from Hockenson, and I believe he can do it.
Logan, before you get to the second half aggressiveness, I'm having a little fun with the soundboard here today, as you can tell. But, I mean, was Hockamania running wild or what? Like, let me tell you something, brother. They need to get this guy the football, and I just think he can be a tremendous force. TJ Hockenson is going to drop the leg on anybody for the rest of the season. I mean, they just need to make him a champion at tight end. I mean, play the music. Hockamania running wild on Sunday. It needs to be the same thing in Lambeau.
Yeah, no, for sure. And looking at the Packers linebackers, again, TJ Hockenson, he should be the focal point of the offense. And especially if Golladay, who knows if he's going to be able to make it back or not. But yeah, I would expect a big game from Hockenson against the Packers. And then
Grifka's favorite player, no doubt.
And then the second question, what was the second question?
Halftime aggressiveness, putting it on them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, they definitely came out, and that was nice to see, because there's the last couple of years, the third quarter struggles. It always seemed like the Lions would come out of the locker room and they weren't playing well in the third. But this week was very different. The third quarter was great, and they scored, I think it's like 17 in the third quarter. And yeah, have to like that, and they need to do that. And then for whatever reason, that fourth quarter came around. But I did really like the adjustments that were made after halftime, and just that aggressiveness on offense, because they only scored 6 points in the first half. And you're like, where's this offense supposed to be? The Bears have a pretty solid defense. They're a fringe top 5 defense probably, and the Lions really, for whatever reason, just were able to really stick it to them in that third quarter.
Yeah, end of the second, into the third as well. So Grifka, I've given him some sound bites. I've entertained. I brought up some great positives from this football game. What else you got to bring the show down? I'm sure you got a few things.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it up to you to put the spin on how the defense lost all their defensive backs, and they were out there playing with cardboard cutouts and garbage cans in the defensive backfield. But that's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern really is this. Where's the rush defense? I mean, Nick Williams put this tweet out, before the season started. We're ready to flip the script here in Detroit. But, the Bears, they got to, I don't think their offensive line's all that great. But they kind of manhandled that Lions defensive line that was supposed to, all these new guys, Danny Shelton, Nick Williams, better run defense with linebackers. Still, Tariq Cohen, was kind of shredding them on cutback plays and stuff. What happened there?
Oh, yeah. No, that was a concern, because the Bears averaged 5.3 yards per rush. And you said it, the Bears offensive line isn't all that great. And Tariq Cohen was just finding lanes all over the place. And even David Montgomery, I almost averaged 5 yards per carry. So that is concerning, because that's one of Matt Patricia's staples in his defense. He stopped the run first, and they weren't really even able to do that. And if Trubisky was able to make some more passes, I think it would have been even worse in the second half. And then you saw in the fourth quarter, once Trubisky started catching fire and making some plays, things didn't look too good. But the Lions need to figure out that run defense, because, again, that's supposed to be their bread and butter. They're supposed to stop the runs and then put these teams in third and long situations, and that's how they can use their scheme to the best of or to take advantage of that man coverage scheme that they have, and not rush as many, because they can drop people in coverage, and the opponents have to force the ball in tight windows. But yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know. I wish I had the answer as to why they struggled against the run, because that was moving forward, that can't happen. And we saw how it was in 2018 with Snacks when they were stopping the run. That defense all of a sudden just completely changed and was one of the better in the league. So they have to stop that run. And Danny Shelton, I think, did a decent job, but it's a full front seven effort. And unfortunately, Jelani Tavai didn't look great. He had some struggles and missed tackles. But it's just one of those things where if I had the answers, I'd probably be a head coach.
Oh, you guys are killing me over here with this. Grifka, you got anything else to kill the show, or can I go?
Yeah, I love your take on Jelani Tavai, because I noticed that as well. They showed plenty of highlights where you mentioned the yardage that the Bears running backs were getting. There's a number of times like Tavai just couldn't get off blocks. The guard was getting out to the second level, making the block, and he just could not get off it. And at some point I was kind of wishing, I'm like, where's Jared Davis? The guy's a captain. He's a starter. But then I realized it's Jared Davis. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll live with Jelani Tavai then. But I mean, that's something Tavai's going to really have to work on, I realize he's a little smaller, but there's a few plays where those Bears guards are really on him and just leaving wide open holes because Tavai could not get off that block.
Yeah, that's supposed to be kind of one of his strengths too. I thought he was better at it last year with just taking on blocks and shedding. But he struggled in that game. But I think he can bounce back. I've never been super high on Jelani Tavai. I think he's a great fit for this type of defense. But in terms of just a pure linebacker, I think he has limitations. But if there's big gaps being created up front by the defensive line, not being able to hold their gaps, it puts Jelani Tavai in a very tough spot just because he has to have a little bit more range. And I do think he is semi-athletic or more athletic than he's given credit for, but he's definitely not going to be one who's going to be chasing people down.
Yep. So, Derek, there's a little more to bring the show down, so it's your turn to bring it back up.
I can't wait. Grifka, do you know what I think about your questions, your negativity, your I don't even know what to call it today. It's your normal shtick. You know what I think about it?
They're all true, and there's nothing you can say about it. That's why you can't think about it.
That was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We threw that.
Well, maybe
I know that's what the Lions' defense was. It was a disgraceful performance, and point it out.
Oh, all right. I got so much to respond to. Before I get into my rant/questions for Logan. Logan, I mean, I got to give you a little grief here on the show, too. Did you really just come on the Detroit Koolaid Cast and multiple times steal Grifka's gimmick line of he's not that great, where I had to even give you a Grifka bell because I couldn't help myself? Did that just happen? Did.
Well, yeah, there's a couple guys, on the Lions that I'm still very skeptical about, and I'm still waiting to see something from them.
Okay, well, you can be skeptical, but Grifka charges anytime that people use his gimmick lines. I just got to let you know, and you stole it like it was yours. I mean, that was something else. Now let me get to Grifka for a minute, the old waffle maker. So you talked about Jared Davis. Yeah, I have a little note here on my sheet. I saw at least 4 to 5 times physically where Jared Davis not only read the proper gap, but shot the gap and blew someone up with a physical tackle. I have it physical in all capital letters. I don't know what you were watching where he missed a bunch of plays. Maybe that's what you make up every week, but I saw many a times where he seemed to play really solid, physical, looked stronger, looked a lot better than he has when he's, as you say, missing every gap, can't cover a coffee table, missing every tap. So that's first and foremost. Second of all, you're over here going on and on about the run defense. I mean, like Logan said, okay, they basically did what the Lions did in rushing. So as good as we felt about Peterson, you already ragged on all our other running backs, the Bears had, 8 to 9 yards more than the Lions. So we didn't get shredded up in the run game. Logan, Grifka had the audacity on our preview show to call Tariq Cohen the best running back in this entire game. I mean, yeah, he said the guy's fast, but then he goes into hyperbole, acts like he's got him in the Pro Bowl. I mean, it's Tariq Cohen. I mean, he's a little 5-0, 100-0. Okay, he made a couple runs. Congratulations. Second of all, Grifka was
more than a couple there, buddy. Check those stats. I'd say check the stats.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats. 41 yards on 7 carries. Oh, man, dominating performance by Tariq Cohen. Wow.
6 yards a carry, man.
Put him in the Hall of Fame.
7 carries, man. He had 7 carries. He averaged 6 yards a carry.
And
Yeah,
he found the
that's
end
pretty
zone
good, man.
0 times. He caught barely any footballs. 2 footballs for 6 yards. Oh, man, just incredible. Logan, I know this isn't even I'm not even bringing you a question. This is a me and Grifka rant right now. I'm going to throw it to you. I thought the offensive line was better. 1 sack. They obviously created running lanes. Um, you know, I thought they played well for 3 quarters, and then they fell apart in the 4th quarter. But, I mean, Quintez Cephas looked like a beast. I mean, Fox, our punter, was tremendous, 50 yards per punt. I mean, do I need to go on and on? Like, I know Grifka's bringing you down and you're agreeing with him, which I think is atrocious on the show. But there were plenty of positives for 3+ quarters. And then for about 6 to 8 minutes, all hell broke loose and we lost this game. And before I go on a rant about we lost and I'm still frustrated by it, there were positives in this game to build on.
Oh, yeah. No, there's always positives. There's always positives to every game, but, there's, again, you only can have so many positives, and then there are the negatives, and you have to weigh them. But, yeah, the positives, I do agree. I thought the offensive line, especially Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker, played really well. Taylor Decker didn't allow a sack, only allowed 1 hit. So that was pretty good considering Khalil Mack is lining up across from him quite a bit. Joe Dahl, I thought, played fairly well. Tyrell Crosby probably played more like a backup, and I think they helped him out on his side quite a bit with just tight end. And then Jonah Jackson, he played like a rookie performance. I thought it was okay. I think he was the one who technically allowed the sack on Stafford, but that was, again, probably more on Stafford maybe than Jackson. But I was happy with the offensive line overall, especially just when you're looking at the running stats, where it's like, okay, yeah, they're making some holes, and again, they protected Matthew Stafford very well pretty much all game, and I wouldn't even really credit them with that sack.
Logan, real quick, can you give me a 1-word answer on were you happy with the Taylor Decker contract, yes or no?
Yes.
All right, that's all I need. Grifka, no follow-ups, no piggybacks. That's all I needed. And like I said, all those positives I mentioned. I mean, I guess here's my thing to you, Logan. Again, a couple more yes or nos. In the 3rd quarter, did you feel good about how the Lions had played through basically 3 full quarters of football?
Yes.
When you
I can only give 1 word.
Yeah, when you looked at the scoreboard and it was 23-6, did you feel like the Lions were going to win this game pretty easily?
Easily? No. I still didn't think it was going to be an easy win.
Would you say there was more good or bad in this entirety of this football game for the Detroit Lions?
Bad. Yeah, bad.
Oh, get the hell out of here. 23-6. We're laying the wood to the Chicago Bears. We should have won by 2+ touchdowns, and we went into Swiss cheese mode, and we lost this game. And now I'm doing negatives where this is Grifka's gimmick. Grifka, do you got anything else to throw at Logan or what? I'm sure you got a laundry list of stuff over there. You're getting me hot now. I'm getting upset.
Okay. Yeah, so okay. Better go, go find your zen and just calm down. But okay, so Logan, once again, Derek, get the bell, because I agree with you. There was more bad. It doesn't matter what they did through 3 quarters. Come dagger time,
it does matter.
It's still a loss. It's a win. It's a win-loss game. Moral victories just get you higher draft picks. So, anyways, with the yeah, okay. Anyways, I mean, Derek mentioned that the running stats were pretty much even, and he bagged on Tariq Cohen, and yes, 6 yards of rush is pretty good. Anyways, because they stopped running the ball because Trubisky had to throw the ball. And it seemed, and Flowers had a pressure early, and they had the strip sack later in the game. But in crunch time, where did the pass rush go? I mean, there was times where Trubisky was just once again sitting back there just getting through all of his reads. And is that another concern to you? I mean, are the Lions still missing that, or is that just not the game they play, where they just want to play strictly in coverage, even when their backups are out there? They're depending on those backups to do what their starters would do.
Yeah, towards the end of the game, I felt like the Lions really started going into that mode of what they were doing last year, of not really having too many stunts and just playing man coverage. I think even like Trubisky or Allen Robinson came out and said that too. Towards the end of the game, they just started playing man. And that's just a tough situation for those backup corners to be in. And look at Tony McRae, who allowed a couple touchdowns and limited action. And I will give Trubisky credit on that game-winning touchdown. It was a great pass, a perfect pass. But I think when you put Trubisky in those spots where he's like, when he knows what the coverage is and he doesn't have to think about it, he can just play. I think Trubisky is at his worst when he's, forced to kind of read the defense, make the play right away, and be accurate because he's under pressure. And they just didn't do that. And the Lions don't really have, I think those workhorses up front that are true threats, like just one-on-one getting to the passer. So much of their pressure is predicated on the manufactured pressures and the stunts and the linebackers blitzing. And I know it's counterintuitive because the Lions don't rush a lot of or they're not blitzing a team, but they do use their linebackers to rush all the time. And that doesn't mean they bring more than 5, but they're still bringing their linebackers and blitzing. But towards the end of the game, you just start them seeing the rush 4, not bringing the linebackers, and they don't have true pass rushers up front to do that type of thing. So I think that's where it struggled. And Trubisky had a lot of time, and knowing that it was man, he had some great passes at the end of the game. It was completely on the other end of the spectrum of what he was doing earlier in the game. But yeah, that was one of the biggest concerns going into the year was the pass rush going to be fixed? And Julian Aquara, I know he's been dealing with the injuries, but he only saw 7 snaps, and he was supposed to be our pass rushing specialist. So I'm going forward, I hope he has a bigger role and kind of develops and becomes someone who's a little bit more reliable, that when the Lions do have a lead and it is obvious pass mode for the opponents, the Lions have someone that can get to the quarterback and just beat one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, that would have, I think, definitely helped at that point. And you mentioned even when they would bring a linebacker, it was still like they had a 3-man front and they were just bringing like one linebacker. And it wasn't even one of those specialty, run through, they double a gap or something like that, and confusing the. It was almost like the linebacker would come right at the guard or right at the tackle, and they just had to beat the one guy, try to beat him, and they weren't doing it because I don't even think at that point the linebackers were athletic enough to do that. So when Trubisky's back there comfortable just running straight man, for early on, some of those passes were so terrible. It just seemed to click. Just all of a sudden, it's like, okay, I'm going to flip the switch and I got this. So they definitely need to improve their pass rush and going into Green Bay. And I know the defensive backfield's on, real injured right now, but they're going to have to put a lot more pressure on that at some point. It seems like, I don't know if Patricia's just stubborn or it's just the way he coaches, and like, okay, I'm, next guy up, you do the job no matter what. So it was just very frustrating to watch with Trubisky sitting back there, having some time to throw the ball when they really need to get, pressure on them to help those weaker cornerbacks.
Yeah, I agree. It's just frustrating in that regard that, it's kind of the same defense that we saw last year. And yeah, there's different players, but it's still a lot of the same results. And the Lions were fortunate that Trubisky was off earlier in the game because it could have been a lot closer in that third quarter if Trubisky was making passes, and then he started doing it in the fourth quarter, and that was the downfall.
Yeah. There you go, Derek. We brought it back down. Do you have anything else to bring us back up? Are you done now? Go.
So you're done killing the show? Is that what you're telling me, Grifka? And Logan's over here agreeing with you. I mean, this is just a debacle of a show from your guys' perspective. But I'm here. I'm here to bring it back up. I'm here to help the people. I'm here to serve up that Detroit Koolaid. You know how I do it. I don't even need the sound bite. Real quick before I'm just going to empty my bag on both positive just takes, and then Logan, you can respond how you like. We got about a couple minutes, Grifka, for me to unload on Logan, and then you get maybe one more question, and we got to let him pub his stuff and get out of here. But I got one word for both of you on this Mitch Trubisky love and this 10-minute rant you guys just went on and on about this guy. I mean, really, all I got to say is simply this: wow. Unbelievable. I mean, ridiculous. So here we go, Logan. This is all my bullet points. We went into this football game. We got no Kenny Golladay, no number 3 overall pick Jeff Okudah. Trufant goes out. I've got here 44 seconds left in the third quarter. He made an incredible tackle early on in that quarter that just pretty much, I thought, had iced the ball game. Justin Coleman, our $9 million corner, goes down with a hamstring injury. Tell me if you've heard that before. Hal Vaitai can't answer the bell and play. Yet the Lions are still up 23-6 with what's that, about 5 or 6 starters that are dropping like flies. I got to tell you this, the Jamie Collins play, you can give me all this runaround about how you can't put your hands ever on an official. You go back and watch it. All he really did was demonstrate. The guy did a fake wrestling bump right into his helmet and then fell back and threw his flag because it's like his first time ever reffing. I don't even know who this knucklehead is, but I thought, yeah, you can use the one rule like Grifka would do, but there's common sense too. Like, he did not spear him in the chest, as most people are saying. Logan, the DB injuries just shot us in the foot. We could not keep up in the fourth quarter. The main guy that got roasted and toasted, yeah, his name's McCray. He's our depth gunner on special teams that's out there getting burnt like a bad piece of toast out there on every play. I thought the 55-yard field goal was a bad decision. I don't even get it still. To go up 13, you're still only up 2 scores, no matter how you slice it. That didn't make sense. The prevent defense. See, now I'm unloading negatives. Now you guys got me unloading negatives. What are we playing prevent all day for? Why can't we get after the quarterback? Why didn't DeAndre Swift catch the football? This is what I want to know. See, you guys have drank all my Detroit Koolaid. I'm on the negatives. That's all I got for you. Matt Stafford, stack. You don't throw the football away. You throw a pick in 2-3 minutes left to basically cost us the game. You've been here 12 years. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
Hey, Logan, or no?
Well, I will say I didn't mind if I was.
Why are you so much calmer than me?
Well, I've been venting for the past like 48 hours now. So, so on the kick, the 55-yard attempt, I actually didn't mind that. I thought it was the right move considering the Lions kicker, Matt Prater, who was one of the best long ball kickers in the game. And yeah, he kicked it off the post. I mean, it was that close. If he would have made that, it definitely could have helped the Lions on that final drive, only needing to get into field goal range instead of having to get a touchdown. So it's just the way Trubisky was moving the ball. I thought the Lions needed points. I understand that it was only going from 10 to 13. It's still a 2-score game, but I didn't mind it. And yeah, looking back, hindsight's always 20/20. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe it could have punted, but it still might have had the same results. It might have not. Lions still could have lost even if they punted. So there was still 2 minutes remaining after the Bears scored their final touchdown. So it's like, even if they did punt, it's just a little bit further to go for Trubisky, who is having no issues moving the ball down the field. As far as Matt Stafford goes, I will say his fourth quarter, yeah, it was Stafford was a little off, and then the fourth quarter was pretty bad, where he didn't throw the ball away and took a sack, and then that interception. It's kind of one of those deals where you live by the sword, die by the sword situation, where you always throwing in tight windows. Sometimes the ball's going to get picked off, and it got batted up. Danny Amendola looked like he was kind of coming open on that play as well. And yes, it was third down where he was trying to get the ball to the sticks, and Danny Amendola was jammed well by Khalil Mack at the line, which I kind of think threw his route off. But just those were the two things out of that little mini negative rant you had. I was very surprised to hear you start saying. Those were my thoughts on those.
Well, you guys got me all fired up. Grifka, we don't have any time for any more of your negative questions, but I'm sure they would have went a little something like this. Same with Logan's response. Grifka, can you do this? Can you ask Logan to please promote all the great articles that he writes, pub him up for Sports Illustrated, because we got to get him out of here, and we got to do your line, and we got to serve up Detroit Koolaid on Friday. Can you do that for me?
Sure. Logan, it's been great having you on the show. Love following you on Twitter. Where can the people, our fans, your fans, find you?
Yeah, appreciate it. So on Twitter, it's at @LaMorandier. You can read all my work. You can find all the links on Twitter or even the Facebook page. I have a Logan Lamorandier Facebook page, as well as Detroit Lion Lowdown, which is another Facebook page. You can find every a fan page where you can find everything. But if you want to go direct to the site, you can go to si.com/NFL/Lions, and there's plenty of Lions-related materials there. And they keep you informed on everything, not only what I do, but all things Lions. So if you want to get a hold of me, just go to Twitter. That's where I'm most active, and I try to engage as much as possible.
Grifka, Logan, this is how we always end the show. We always have one more question for Grifka, but today, because you guys have put me in this type of mood, I got to do a little music to go with it. This football game crushed the one pride, the Lions fans. It was a tough loss. I tried to serve up the Detroit Koolaid. I tried to be positive. You guys turned me the other direction. I had to end the show on a rant, so we'll just end it with this. Grifka, do you have anything else for the people?
Nope.
Oh, everybody, it's going to be okay. Come back here Friday. We'll be serving up that Detroit Kool-Aid, big tall glass as we head to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions. Drink it in, man.